Save the Queen, the fascist regime. Tony, 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 I know that you're horny, but there's something about that bush that ain't right. Keep on fighting and we'll be the nation abused. Your stiff upper lip will bleed and your pride will be bruised. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We've got to fight the powers that be. That's not me talking, that's music having a voice.
You know, nobody controls me. Nobody tells me what I can and what I can't say.
But I think if lyrically you're incompetent and you're dealing with serious issues, then you begin to look like a fool.
Some of it will be good, some of it will be crap.
No, I don't think anything should get banned. I think everything should be out there.
I think if we're in a situation where I write some lyrics that I could be arrested for, then it's worth being arrested for.
I've been told I crossed the line because I rapped, I farted and got arrested for a chemical attack.
For decades, musicians have been using their fame to push their politics. The Specials helped free Nelson Mandela. The Sex Pistols were anti-monarchy. Public Enemy fought the American establishment. And Bob Geldof has been fighting to make poverty history. Protest through songs been much celebrated. But when Aki Nawaz released his controversial album expressing his thoughts on the war against terror, it was a very different story. Aki's music has always been controversial, but even he was surprised by the backlash. Journalist Ben Marshall was outraged by the album.
This guy makes comparisons between Che Guevara, who is the architect of the Cuban Revolution, and Osama bin Laden, who is the world's premier terrorist. He goes on to celebrate suicide bombers. This is buffoonery of the highest order. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But should it be banned? Of course it shouldn't be banned. I mean, idiots have as much right to free speech as anyone else.
There's a track that goes through a story about putting a bomb together.
Yeah, cookbook DIY.
Explain the track and explain why a newspaper or an MP might say that particular track is glorifying terrorism.
Well, I mean, cookbook DIY probably is glorifying terrorism, but it's glorifying it on different levels. It's glorifying it for, the one-man army, and then kind of a group of people who want to create mayhem, and then the government, which creates more mayhem in terms of making bombs. And it's a really intelligent way of connecting all three, and just to say that each one is morally no better than the other.
He's often praised for this kind of big moral courage that he's showing and showing us all these issues. He's not. He's a weak, weak, weak guy. There is no moral courage to that record. It's just attention-seeking. He desperately wanted his record banned. He said, I am testing the limits of free speech here. Well, the limits of free speech have been tested by his record, and they've found not to be wanting.
I'm not chasing success. I'm chasing dialogue, discussion, and challenging a system which I think is just so deceitful. It's embarrassing.
I question the Minister for Culture, David Lammy. I mean, you had MPs like Andrew Dinsmore who are very critical of the album, and commentators who are trying to draw a parallel between topics in the album and the Terrorism Act 2006. What do you think about the glorification of Terrorism Act in relation to music?
I would respect any MP's right to criticise the album. I might not like what's being particularly said. I definitely believe in the right of artists to say it.
Do you think the actual wording of the Terrorism Act, when it comes to the glorification of terrorism in relation to music, could see some bands actually falling foul of that law in the years to come? Specifically, say, a British Asian Islamic rap band.
It's not my experience as the MP for an inner city, it's not my experience as the Minister for Culture, that there are any bands or any groups that are in the place of making music that is freely accessible, that is glorifying terrorism.
It's a good job that politicians believe in freedom of expression and the power of music, because Aki is just one of many. Asian artists have been mixing up politics and music for years, and by the look of things, they're going to continue to do so. Asian Dub Foundation have been fighting injustice through music for the last 15 years. MC Riz caused shockwaves with his track Post 9/11 Blues.
What can I do? I got the post 9/11 blues on the telly, nothing but the post 9/11.
The reason I wrote it was because I thought a lot of political music and a lot of kind of conscious hip-hop can start becoming quite indulgent or can be quite self-righteous, and it sounds like political music, it sounds like preachy music. So really what I wanted to do was kind of subvert that whole equation and make a tune that, you know, even if you're not necessarily very politically minded, it will rope you in with the comedy. The music programmers and the radio DJs that were just thinking in terms of black and white, you know, good and evil, and, you know, a Muslim guy said 9/11 in a song, it must be a certain kind of music. So they were either too narrow-minded to try and understand it, or they were too cowardly to take a risk on it.
Did you ever find yourself over the last 10 to 15 years in the centre of some sort of political musical battle?
I think the main thing for us was the Free Satpal Ram campaign, which, you know, was about a guy who we thought had been wrongfully imprisoned. And we were surprised, the press was surprised, you know, at how many people actually got involved and the positivity and the sense that, yeah, well, around the song and around the campaign, they can work together and actually make an impact. And, yeah, the man was freed.
Have you heard Aki's album?
Whatever you think about what Aki's done, I think it's really good that someone is still out there and actually say something which is really radical and provocative.
We had rock in the 60s, punk in the 70s, and hip-hop in the 80s. With this new emerging Asian movement, will it in time create its own history and be judged in years to come? Or should we be listening right now? John Robb is a musician and music commentator.
Now there's like a whole raft of stuff going on. A lot of Asian kids are making their own kind of music and filtering it through like the urban culture of the UK, and that's what makes it very, very interesting. People like Aki, you know, Fundamental. He's coming from the same kind of roots that I come from. He comes from punk rock, etc., and he'll try and cause as much commotion as possible, you know. So he takes a kind of very, very kind of strong position to wind people up as much as he can to make a very, very valid, strong point. I think the government and the powers that be realise that pop music doesn't change things directly. It just puts ideas into the mainstream, and that's its only power it has. But you cannot silence an individual. That's what they've realised now. They'll huff and puff, and they'll get themselves column inches by saying ban this record, but they don't really mean it.
Music and politics have always been an explosive combination, as Aki's witnessed. And given the current climate, the two can only grow. Music will always have a voice.